Welcome to
Ricky's Family Fun Night.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, everybody in my family smoked growing up. You know, you still make your own choices.
Exactly.
And you should be able to, and the world shifted, and it did. And luckily for me, when it kind of shifted, when people were getting offended by things, is when I was out, because I spent almost a year where I couldn't walk on my own without a walker because I have a lot of medical things. And during that time, I was gearing up for my 4th spinal surgery. So during the worst of that, Sarah would take me out in the morning, and I would sit outside. I'd feed the squirrels. That was during the time where we had like 12 squirrels in the backyard that would crawl on us, and we'd feed them, and we could pet them and everything. But I look at that as a good time because my year with the squirrels made me leave social media, because I used to post a lot of weird shit, and it was never attacking anybody. It was all what I considered humorous, and everybody else did. But now I look at it and go, man, I would be eaten alive for the things I say. I mean, I still think it's funny, like even on panels, like I would bring Sarah, I would say, Sarah asked me the other day how many girls I've been with, and I guess my answer of 6 and also 12 women was wrong. And to me, that's
Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous. But come on, it's clearly not real. But
That's some Andrew Dice Clay shit.
Yeah,
oh no.
But it's clearly not real. Everybody that knows me, I always got away with everything because they knew what I was really like. I was a single dad at 19. I raised my oldest daughter on my own. I've got 3 daughters. I respect women heavily. I just feel you have to be able to joke about everything. It's everything or nothing. Once you start saying that's too offensive, you can't make that joke, then it all leaves. Everything. No matter what you say, if you go, well, I can say, why did the chicken cross the road? Why the fuck did you say that? My grandma choked on a chicken bone. She died. You son of a bitch. And that...
This guy's pro-chicken.
No, it's just... There's no meanness in it. And... And it's good I left social media, and for the most part, I post out a little bit, but like back then you could just do that. And then James Gunn lost Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for some jokes from 10 years ago on Twitter, and I went, yep, I gotta stop. Although I guess we have a live video of me saying something like that, which is
Oh shit.
That's okay, whatever.
Hashtag canceled.
Here's the thing, it's not true,
I don't understand that shit at all. Like how they can dig back like decades ago and say now you're in trouble for something we just found.
Yeah. Different world, man. It's a different, And I've had that discussion with Marcel Walls, the director of Blind, who's one of my best friends. He's a gay director. And growing up in Minnesota, I won't say the word, but we used a derogatory word, but we never meant it like that. It never meant gay. But in meeting him and understanding that, you go, okay, I can see how like people take that, and it's a word that I don't use anymore. But I just remember back when we did say things like that, you never meant it. It was never that way. Growing up, you never have an issue with anybody, whether they're black, they're white. They're just people. It's other people push you into thoughts, and it's tough because I remember being in 3rd grade in Minnesota, and we had an all-school assembly where we all got to go to the gym, and the principal got up, and it's the whole school's there, and the whole point of the assembly was to let us know that the next day we would be getting our first black student. And I remember all of us, nobody was freaked out. We're all like, oh, that's awesome, that's great. But in hindsight, it's weird that they had to do that.
Yeah,
that's weird that they would do that back then. But I don't remember one person that was negative about it. Everybody's excited. It's as you grow up and you have people around you that can push opinions. So I will go on the record. I have not been with 6 girls.
We will include that in the description of the video.
Yeah. That should just be my shirt now. But I'm just using that as an example of jokes I used to make. And, we've all experienced things in life. So certainly I feel that some people that a joke like that would hit them, and maybe they've experienced something. We all, people have, but it's just still, you should have the right to make jokes as long as they're not coming from a mean place. Like I used to do the podcast with Uncle Creepy, Brainwaves. And even that we had to really, I used to talk a lot about Sarah and I's sex life. And then that became a thing. And it's like, but listen, that's her and I's sex life. If she's comfortable with what we're talking about, why are people worried about it being offensive? You know, I'm not, she's okay with it. So I had to dial way back on the different things we talk about, because listen, it's crazy that she lets me put the thing I pee out of inside her at all. It's weird. I mean, let's be honest, she's a beautiful woman, and you know, she puts up with me, and it's crazy. 11 years now.
Damn.
It's insane. It's insane.
Go back to the movie. I'm just circling it back around. Is there any, like I did say, deleted scenes? If there's something you want to see more of in the movie, what scene would you wish was there?
On Chainsaw 2?
Yeah.
I think the scene with Joe Bob Briggs, which is on the special features, is nice. It would have been nice to get a little more of that in, because that's a little more of them having fun. Otherwise, the dad thing, if they would have explored that, might have been fun. And I would like to have seen it continued. I mean, it kind of continues with Caroline playing the same role at the beginning of Chainsaw 3, although it's just a quick cameo, you know, to see what happened with her character, you know, because that's what I sometimes love and hate about the franchises is you'll really love characters like Tommy Jarvis, 3 movies, and then gone. And you want to know what is he up to? You know, Alice, what is Alice up to? Jamie Lee Curtis, we now know what she was up to. She was, you know, training for 30 years because a few people were killed around her.
Depending on which timeline you follow.
Yeah.
She's either training and going crazy, or she's leading a school.
And that's the thing, because my favorite Halloween movie is Part 2. I love Halloween 2 because I spent so much time in the hospital in my life that hospitals just freak me out. So that was my favorite. So when they ignored that for the sequel, or for the new one, I went, fuck, that's the one thing I wish they would have included, because it would have made more sense why she dedicated her whole life to, you know, to killing that guy versus a couple friends. I mean,
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. I'll allow you guys to talk for a moment.
I think mine would be, I just have a vision of Chop Top slipping on her sign on for calls, like Red River Rock and Roll Request line. Like, I could totally see Chop Top just like trying to imitate that line, because like, I'm your biggest fan and all that, and then just him try and say it a couple times and slip on it, rock and roll, well, hell with it, just like go after her, or like a jump scare, something like that.
Yeah.
Because as uncanny as Chop Top is as a character, and we know the greatness of one Bill Mosley. Christ on a wheel.
This isn't How I Met Your Mother.
I'm gonna get shit for that one.
All right. You are. I'm giving you shit right now. We're gonna roast you.
Yeah.
Fuck. Why did I say Mosby? Fuck.
Yeah.
Bill Mosley.
Who did the introduction of my second book. I'll just throw that pimp out there.
What was your second book?
Vile Beauty.
Oh, shit.
Well, I had a few come out that I don't talk about because of the publisher issues but the second one. But anyway, I interrupted. I hijacked it. It wasn't. No, please continue.
You saved my ass because I fucked up on Bill Mosby, so I'm not too mad.
We're never gonna let you forget that, Lucas.
There's a lot of shit you don't let me forget on this show, but
yeah, I'm just impressed we haven't actually referenced Backstreet Boys or Limp Bizkit this episode.
Oh wow.
Oh shit. Or Twilight.
That
was the big one for the first 2 episodes.
It's freaking me out. You wore a mask called Counterfeit.
What's that?
Well, I got high with Fred Durst before he got famous. He was very cool. And then I met him a couple years later, and it changed.
Mm-hmm. I remember a couple of their songs. That's about it, though.
Yeah. I liked their first record. I saw them open for Korn before the album came out, and it was fun. There was energy. It was good. I'm more of a, classic metal, Metallica, and I like a lot of like overseas metal. But that whole rap rock thing didn't last too long. Um, thankfully.
Yeah.
And now here's where you say that was your favorite genre of music of all time.
I don't think any of us are going to say
Nah.
that.
Yeah. I'm an 80s metalhead too, so there's that.
Okay.
It's
Very
funny.
cool.
My first time, my sister heard "Golden Age of Grotesque" by Marilyn Manson. She asked, "Is this Korn?" Because there's some of that rap rock in there. It's what it kind of felt like.
See, I liked. We can talk about Manson, I guess, and everybody else is, but like I like, the older stuff, like because it was weird, like that fuck Frankie, where he's just like weirdly saying fuck Frankie over and over.
Oh yeah,
again.
yeah. On that, it was one of the
Smells
Smells Like
ones,
Children.
right?
Smells Like Children.
Yeah.
Before he became a thing, and that's Sarah. The funny thing about Sarah, as I hijack this whole thing again before we pass on, she actually in high school, I've seen pictures. She used to wear like the dog collar, and she had a Marilyn Manson lunchbox, and she'd hang Barbies from Christmas lights and burn them. So she was totally that girl, and now she's very different. She changed. I changed her. The industry changed her because she went to school for criminal justice and then just decided, you know what, I don't want to do this. And then she started doing the movies, and I killed her in her first movie. That's how we met. I cut her head off, and she's like, oh God, that's the guy I gotta have. I gotta have that guy. And,
Well, you cut her head off, and then she,
Yeah.
Some guys get head, some guys take head.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And it was a few years of us being friends before, I finally gave in. Nobody believes that, but she was the one that was kind of after me. And I understand. I mean, look at me, but back then it was, the weird thing about me is I'm a weird, like ogreish looking dude. But back then I didn't have the beard, and I actually had some hair up here, although it was all bald. I actually look better now than I did back then, which means now everybody that watches this goes, well, what the fuck could he have looked like back then?
everybody hop on a Google. Wait a minute, I gotta see this
Yep.
shit. What the fuck?
If you can get a kind of look at what I look like, if you look up Joe Knetter's ass, search that online, you'll see my ass tattoo, which is how I looked back then. Because I have my own face tattooed on my ass.
Yeah, you did that for
Yes.
charity, right?
It was done for charity, because when I would do the conventions and I'd sit on the toilet, I'd always end the hour by standing up and turning around and letting everybody see my ass. And the running joke was I was known more for my ass than my face. So at Rock and Shock that year, they were doing a charity for Hurricane Katrina victims. And in the first 2 days, I think they raised $110. So I was very drunk. And my friend Steve Barton said, well, you know what you should do then? If you want to get more recognized, you should put your face on your ass. And I said, all right, you get the money to do the tattoo, because they do tattoos at that convention. I said, I'll get it. And he walked over to Sid Haig, and Sid Haig pulled a $100 bill out. And
Holy shit.
within, I think, 20 minutes, they'd raised $1,400. Jeffrey Combs, Andrew Divoff, Ken
I love
Forey,
Jeff Combs.
everybody. He's
Shit.
so great. And we raised more money in that 20 minutes, and then we paid for the tattoo and put the rest into the Katrina fund. So I have my face tattooed on my ass, which is my calling card. Back then, people would take pictures with it at conventions, and it just became what I was known for. And then years later, I was trying to get in better shape, and I started going back to the gym, and that was the first time where I kind of went, oh fuck, you're in the shower with all these men, and all of a sudden I was like, oh fuck, they're not going to understand why I would have my own face on my ass, and that's why.
I mean, one of our writers, not any of us, but Steven, 29, has the old Hot Topic logo as a tramp stamp. So, like,
He
Beautiful.
does?
you don't know this?
No, now I can't unknow it.
Go to his Facebook, go to his Twitter, go to his Instagram, whatever. After this, that was a thing. That's why the shirt that Sam walked in with, the Dark Attica shirt, that's part of why they did that. He legit got a Hot Topic tramp stamp. Steven did,
Wow,
and it
Yeah.
just became a thing.
that's amazing.
I
It's
miss
amazing.
the old Hot Topic for sure, though.
Love you, Steven. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell that on camera, but
He was supposed
Hi.
to be here.
Oh,
well, there you go.
We
Fuck.
could have had you guys talk about tattoos.
we could have. The tattoo looked pretty
I
good.
love tattoos.
It's got white over the years. It's faded. And there's no beard. I tried shaving a beard on it, but the ass hair doesn't work as well.
Oh no!
And I have to be careful because if I ever go to prison, then I'm going to get cum all over my face without even being flipped over.
Hey, this one's a
But
twofer.
maybe that's better because if it gets in the beard, it flakes and it's weird.
Oh,
It's weird. It's weird.
Oh no!
Oh.
This episode rated X.
Oh man, I thought the year in review episode was a dumpster fire. No.
Well,
It's a good dumpster fire.
welcome to my mind. I love doing these with people I know. Like I mean, how far back do we go, Chase? Where we talked online and
Before, well,
yeah.
it was before Blind. I remember that. I
enough
wrote
that
to you for writing advice, and you gave me a really good answer. It was well thought out.
which is what don't do it, quit, anything.
I think that was about it. Yeah.
I think I probably told you don't write for you and hope it finds an audience because there's no money in it. I mean, books have just, sadly, they just, like I Survivor, I'm very proud of that book Adam and I wrote, and it's his first book. And with it being part of the Hatchet franchise, we would have thought it would have sold very well. And it, the hardcover did okay, but since then it's just, people just don't read like they used to.
How many times have you guys gotten the question about an audiobook for that?
There is an audiobook.
Everybody asks. You guys got one?
Yep, Adam did an audiobook. And I think that's the problem is nobody knows. But no, he did an audiobook. It's great. That for me was a very fun experience because I have a Victor Crowley tattoo on my arm. I can't even figure out these camera movements. Well, it's there. It's there.
We believe you.
People usually guess, was that Sloth from the Goonies? And I always go, no, that's my son, you son of a bitch. But, so to get a chance to work in that franchise was so much fun. Adam's just a cool guy. He's the hardest working person out here.
One of the coolest moments ever, I don't know if you remember this or not, because it was like, I think 4 or 5 years ago, was Victor Crowley. That's supposed to be the 10th anniversary showing of Hatchet.
Yeah.
And I saw you and Barton there. I got a picture with you guys.
Yeah.
I can't name a better convention I was at than that screening because it was like all horror icons everywhere in that room.
Everybody was there. Yeah, it was. I knew it was a new movie because we'd already worked on the book a little bit, and he had showed me a few of the scenes in order for us to write the book. But man, what a great night! And I do remember that you coming up, and I think that's the first time we met in person.
Yeah.
Did you fly out specifically for that?
Technically, no.
Okay.
It was a work trip, but I made sure my work fit around that.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was all expenses paid for me to go see a movie I've already seen.
There you go. And what a great, I mean, it's so hard to keep a movie under wraps. Like the majority of people didn't know they shot a sequel. And I know one person that had seen Hatchet so many times, they got really fucked up before they went. They were really drunk. Because they're like, I've seen Hatchet 100 times, but I still want to go. And it ruined it. They fucking blacked out in the middle of the movie and didn't even get to see the first screening, which, if there's one person that talks more than me in the industry, it's Adam. So you can imagine how, when we got together to write the book, how we would just talk for hours, which is
like
Adam.
10 hours of extra footage.
Yeah,
Okay, so if we ever get him on here, it's going to be like a fucking 3-hour marathon episode.
Yeah.
It'll be a twofer.
He talks
Yeah, 2 parts.
just like me. He shifts. He goes. That's why we work so well together in the book, because we each wrote 6 chapters, and it feels like one voice because we both kind of have the same thing. And Adam's he's just cool, man. Like there'd be days we'd go in to write, and instead we'd listen to metal records for 10 hours. He'd put on a record and he'd be like, "Oh, have you heard this? This is this unreleased." Live Testament record, and we'd go, fuck yeah, let's listen. And that's what I love about the industry is the people that are fans, because it's the one genre where as a fan you can find your way into it. There's not a lot of people that sit around going, oh, I love romantic comedies, I'm going to be in romantic comedies. It just really doesn't happen. But horror is that one genre where we're kind of all united in our love of just insanity and weird shit. And it's beautiful. I mean, look at the world right now. The world is huge. There's so many people. But right now, the 4 of us are currently having a conversation that nobody else in the world is involved in, from all these different places. And that's insanity. It's insanity that 4 people can come together to enjoy something. And from Ohio. Were you all born in Ohio, or did you gravitate towards Ohio?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say nobody moves to Ohio.
Nope.
kind of like Minnesota, it's one of those things.
They tie
where
you
you're
down
like,
and keep you. They don't let you leave.
Yeah.
We're actually begging for help.
Ohio was okay. Driving to Cinema Wasteland, it was Indiana I didn't like, because from Minnesota you have to pay like $12 just to drive through the fucking state. You're not stopping anywhere, but the minute you pull in and pull off, you get the payment thing, and then when you leave the state, you pay. So it's literally a 3-hour drive through the state to see nothing. Ohio I liked, because I like the people. I like the partying aspect there, and that's the only place where I've ever blacked out a whole weekend at conventions.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, I have no recollection of Friday night through Sunday night at the show. I've got video of it. I actually did a live reading, an hour-long reading during that, and I have no recollection of it at all.
Oh my God.
You Hardy in
But-
Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that show was just a party show, and they used to be that way. In the early 2000s to mid 2000s, it was just everybody having fun and drinking and partying. And over time, I like to call it the Walking Dead effect. As more people got into horror, became a little more mainstream, it became more about business. The Walking Dead extras were doing shows and charging $30 for autographs, and completists needed to have them. They needed it. So then the money got thin. So then people started focusing just on the money versus the having fun together. I mean, so much weird shit happened over the years at those conventions. It was amazing, and it's changed so much. I hope the one thing that happens with this time we're in now is it's a reset, and when conventions do come back fully, people are so happy to be out there again that it becomes the party. Let's hang out, let's have fun, versus let's just try to get hundreds of dollars from everybody for things. When you have to start paying $20 to $30 to get, a picture with someone with your own camera, that gets to be where I understand they need the money, because nobody's making as much money as you think in this industry. When I met Sid Haig and we became friends prior to Devil's Rejects, when I would call him if I got his voicemail, it was his voicemail from the apartment building he managed, where he'd be talking about the apartment deals and the 2-for-1 specials. And it's weird to think that, the people like that, they do have to have jobs. Most people you see at the conventions have to have jobs to get by, because the money's just not there. I mean, the industry's shifted. It's you picked the wrong time to be a writer. In the 80s, there's money.
I grew up so starry-eyed. Like, this is the way it came.
Well,
Well, Chase he just has to wait till he dies, and then he'll be popular.
And then he'll be famous.
You guys are gonna discover my shit. Be like, I knew that guy.
Yep. And that's the thing.
He was a dick. No.
It
enough.
has totally shifted. In the old days, without social media, every person you saw in a band, you'd worship. You'd see them in magazines. You'd go, oh my God, they got to be. And a lot of them were still working, but they couldn't admit that because they needed to keep that celebrity glamour. It's reversed now, where the majority of people in the industry have to go, listen, we're not making the money. Please don't steal it. Adam will tell the story about Digging Up the Marrow, which I loved. It was supposed to be a trilogy. But
What?
So many people illegally downloaded it that there was no money. It didn't make money. He couldn't complete it. Because if 1 out of 100 people that illegally downloaded it paid 99 cents to see it, they could have made another movie. But everybody thinks that there's so much money and everything. Like for Blind, I'll go on record, Marcel and I didn't make a penny. We didn't make anything to make that movie. We put all of the movie into the cast, the crew, and the movie. So there's not as much money as people think. And it's tough because I admit, I was one that when internet started, I illegally downloaded some music. I did it.
Like Napster and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. And then you start realizing, wait a minute, it destroyed. Lars was right. Let's be honest. Lars was right. It destroyed the music industry. So many people I know that are in great bands can't make a living. And it's the same with the horror industry.
Or can't even get popular or anything like that.
So
it's kind of
many
like
great
going into
bands.
someone's house and being like, I like this. This is mine now.
Yeah. And that's 100% what it is. It just doesn't feel that way. and I made up for it, at least in my heart. I tried, and that years later, I made sure I bought everything that I would have illegally downloaded because I like physical media. I still have CDs, I have records. I like that because I like when people walk in, they can get a sense of who you are. To me, when I walk into some place, I meet somebody, I look at the records, I look at the movies, and I go, okay, I understand you. That's easier to do than saying, hey, can I log into your computer and see all your movie collection? That's weird.
You might find some things you don't like.
Yeah, but I love vinyl. Is that vinyl I see behind you there?
Which one? Like, I've got most of my collection there.
I see guitars on your side.
Yeah.
That's Night Ranger right now. I love 80s bands that most people don't know.
I've seen Night Ranger probably 3 or 4 times in concert.
They're amazing.
Love Night
Stuff
Ranger.
is around here. I just had to point the camera this way because it's the only place I could fit it.
Okay.
That's what
No
she said, I
problem.
guess.
Yes. Hey, listen, it's a family show, buddy. What's your
Fucking A
favorite
right.
band? Everybody favorite band.
Def
Let
Oh
me
my
get
God.
to know you.
That's hard.
Def Leppard's great. While you're thinking, I'll share a Def Leppard story. The first time I saw Def Leppard in concert was they did a tour for Slain, and they only played the album. And I went to it, and Slang wasn't their best album.
No,
And
but
not to hear anything else, I was like, oh, fuck. I've seen it many times since. Def Leppard's great.
they actually play this one song from that album in a little medley now. And
Okay.
when I went and saw them live, the one year that they started doing this, I was singing along to it, and Phil Collins looking at me like, this bitch really knows this.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. I love the 80s metal like that, the hair metal. I love it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
and that's my favorite. I love most music, but that's like my all-time favorite, like that and like 80s adult-oriented rock, like Richard Marx and Bryan Adams. I love all that cheesy shit.
awesome. My favorite Bryan Adams is I think it's Do I Have to Say the Words? Total pop, but I love it. I love that kind of stuff. I have Chicago. I have REO Speedwagon. There's a Journey joke in Pretty Boy. I have a Journey joke in there. I just love music.
Yeah, that and like I play my NES and I listen to my vinyl, and I love the horror movies. How I have my system set up, I have my really old like CRT TV, and then I have like a little plasma, and I'll have like a horror movie on while I'm playing.
Very nice. Because it takes you back to just a different time.
Oh yeah, especially the vinyl, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's coming popular now, but when I got into it, it was like maybe a few years before it became cool again. So it was like, oh yeah, this girl knew all about it, and I started getting all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Robin was into it before it was cool again.
Or it was
Dude,
cool.
I got called a hipster because I was wearing like silver leggings, like spandex, like all 80s. They're like, you're a hipster, and I'm like, how the fuck am I a hipster?
Yeah.
Leave me
The
alone.
Robin hipster conspiracy.
I've got the hipster thing because of the beard and the records, but I always had records. When you listen to a record, you hear so much that you never hear in the digital versions or a CD version. A lot of little things. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Someone gets it here.
Yeah, 100%. It's my favorite. I don't like that the new stuff that comes out, sometimes there's 4 records for like 9 songs.
my
And you have to keep
God.
getting up. That gets to me a little bit. And then the colored vinyl is great, but the sound quality isn't always as good. But okay,
Yeah.
who is next on a favorite band?
I narrow it down to my top 3.
Okay.
Okay. First one, I know this is something I'm not allowed to say, I guess. But Marilyn Manson, like, he's been so influential in everything I wanted to be as an artist, as a writer, because he took so many chances, he carved his own path. And despite who he may have been as a person, as a musician, as an artist, he went balls to the wall. He achieved his dream. I don't know how happy he is nowadays. I'm hoping he's happy, despite everything else. But that guy was an artist.
Yeah. He did his own thing, and he was himself regardless. And if I was him, I would just say, okay, I'm done. I have enough money. I'm going to sit by my pool, and I'm going to burn Barbie dolls. And that's it. I'm happy with that. I can do that.
Also, he was kind of like, he did almost 2 different bands, because before he was Marilyn Manson, he was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, a whole different artist. Like, his sound was so different. And it's
Yeah,
still good. too.
like when he was on TRL and stuff. Yeah. Okay, number 2.
Tom Waits.
Okay.
It's hard to beat Tom Waits. He has done so many different things. He has Mule Variations, where it's a more mainstream kind of sound, all the way back to Rain Dogs, where nobody knows what the hell it is, but you know the cover.
Yeah.
Like, you know Tom Waits, right?
Absolutely.
And
He
he's
was
done
in
movies.
he was in Dracula.
Yeah, he was Igor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then number 3, I guess, would be Kiss, because you really can't discount Kiss. Like, people talk shit about them all they want. They say they weren't really good musicians, but damn it was Kiss.
Yeah. Kiss, I've seen numerous times, and I love what they and I have a Gene Simmons story I'll share quick. It seems like I'm name dropping a lot, but listen, name dropping is something you should never do. And I was taught that the first time I went to a party in LA. I think Quentin Tarantino told me, whatever you do, don't name drop. It was
Now
either
he
him.
drops Tarantino. Motherfucker, listen.
You have to say it how Tarantino would
It's
say it,
so
though.
hard to say a story without saying it, though.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I never met Quentin Tarantino, but I love Tarantino. But when I first moved out here, I did a lot of background because, well, you need money. And I thought it would be important to get on some bigger productions just to see how things go. And one of the shows I worked on was Angie Tribeca, which I don't think it lasted long, but I typically got to play prisoners, prisoners or bikers. And I was on set for that show, and I was just standing there, and somebody leaned in next to me and said, how long did it take you to grow that beard? And I turned, and it was Gene Simmons, because he was playing a prisoner in the same show, which was absolutely great, because usually when they have the guest stars as background, you're not supposed to talk to them. But he instigated the conversation. I think we had about a 10-minute talk about sex, where we just kept going back and forth. At the end, I let him win. Let him get the last word because I'm respectful in that way. But to me, that was a great moment, because when you meet Gene Simmons, you want to talk about sex. It
You
would
had
be
a
like,
sex talk with Gene Simmons, and you let him finish first.
yes,
Okay.
I let him finish first. And because like if you meet, like, I love Alice Cooper, but if I meet Alice Cooper and we talk about golf, I'm probably going to be a little disappointed. Whereas Gene Simmons is sex. So that's my Gene Simmons thing. He was actually really cool, really nice.
See, I wish I'd have known that, because I saw him at an airport like in 2016, like my first day of actual work, like getting ready to fly out to LA for my job, because I work in refineries. They patted me on the shoulder and said, that's Gene Simmons over there. And I knew he was here for a convention in Cleveland. And I saw him. It was like 6 a.m. He looked miserable. He was just standing there, nobody approaching him, glasses on. People want to walk up. I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy, because he looks like he doesn't want to talk to anybody right now.
Wow.
So I could have met him, but I didn't. And I kind of hate myself for it.
Yeah. It could have been 50-50. At an airport, it might have been a little different. But Kiss is a great band. Sarah loves Kiss. She used to dress the full makeup when she'd go see them. But her favorite Kiss record is actually Revenge, which is generally not anybody's favorite Kiss record.
Hey, it's nothing's more hated than Dynasty. Remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think music
I love that, of
for the Elder, I think, was probably the worst one. But all solid choices. And now, what about you?
See, I listen to so much, I don't know if I can just pinpoint one, but I guess gun to my head, knee-jerk reaction would be Ghost.
Okay, Ghost is great.
I've seen them twice now. I saw them when I was overseas in Austria at the Gasometer. That was awesome. And then in the pre-COVID times, like October 2019, my fiance got us tickets when they played here in Toledo on the tour named
Pale Tour Named
Pale
Death.
Tour Named Death. I was like, I'm fucking it up today. It has been, look.
They changed the name though. They had a Pale Horse or Pale Tour, and then they changed the name for certain.
Okay, see, so I wasn't
They
like
did
totally
change.
fucking it up. They're just.
Lucas, it's because you didn't bring your beer of the week. That's why you're fucking up.
This is true. That's the thing I was telling Chase before. Like, I usually have some kind of like weird beer or something, and like my weird beer, it came from the bottle now. I am all out of whack, but all I had was just a red, so it's like, who gives a shit? But in my defense, the day we're recording this, we've been in the middle of a snowstorm where I think the biggest city near us got like 14 inches of snow. So like and 14 actual inches, not 14 like dude inches, or it's like 10 in good lighting.
Yeah.
I
I
was
like
just after
to
Valentine's Day.
I like I like to refer to it this way. I'm 12 inches, 6 on the way in and 6 on the way out. That's dick math, 12 inches.
Tom Lehrer be damned. That's your new math.
Dick math. Okay. Ghost is awesome. I am happy that they're Ghost and not Ghost BC. Like initially they had to be called because of the whole thing, but
Yeah.
Ghost is great. I got all the records on vinyl. Love it. What's your favorite Ghost song?
I don't know
Prospera,
why.
Probably.
I don't know why it is. I think it's because they closed with it or it was the encore when I saw them in Vienna. But Monstrance Clock.
Okay.
That's always
It's just
their
this
encore.
long, this epic track, and it ended on just that repeat of the "Come Together," like the choir and everything, and it just really hit me some kind of way that night. I don't know why.
It's great. I've never actually got to see him in concert.
Oh man.
But I love Ghost. That's actually in our CD player in our car right now is a mix.
Like
of
seeing
all
Kiss
their
live,
albums.
dude. It's like first time I saw Ghost, I never even heard of them, and it was Papa too, and I'm like, what? It was at a festival. I was like, what? What is that? Like, and I see a dead Pope on stage, and I'm like, mind blown.
Right.
I read about them in Guitar World magazine, and then I was reading like Metallica took them on tour, and that's really where they started, like pre Infestissimum era is where they got like started to get really big.
Yeah, their
Wow.
first I know so much about Ghost because like I ran a group and I actually really read into like the whole lawsuit thing when that broke out. So, which with the BC name, that was Tobias's decision because he was scared because the band was becoming bigger, and for the second album, he only changed it to make sure that the second album didn't have anything wrong because he just didn't want it to be so successful and then something happened because of just
and then the rug gets pulled out under him. Yeah.
So
Hey, Robin.
I mean, technically they could have been okay. Huh?
Your mic just like a little tiny bit away from your mouth.
Sorry.
Oh, you're right. I just want to let you know.
So
Could have been so embarrassing for you.
So, can I name drop one more time? Do I sound douchey when I bring
No.
these up? I'm just sharing. I'm sharing.
I do that shit all the
experience.
time.
So
He does. It's true.
It is.
my favorite band of all time is Metallica. It's the band I grew up on. It's having been I'll admit I wouldn't be here without that band. Like growing up, there were times when I might have made different decisions. And it's a band that was always there. I mean, I got Kill 'Em All when I was 7 years old. It was one of the first cassettes I ever got. So they were always my band. So it was very cool that a few years back, a partner of mine, a writing partner, and I got to write. At the time, Kirk Hammett was doing his horror host thing, and he was going to do a little show where he was going to interview guests, but he wanted it to be kind of a fun thing. So we got to write a kind of a talk show skit for him to interview Ghost, which was fantastic. They shot it, but it never got released or came out. But for me, those were moments of like being on conference calls with Kirk Hammett and being like, holy fuck. This is because I still geek out on everything. As much as I name drop, I'm doing that just because it's fun. People listen to it, they like it. But I've never lost that weirdness of meeting people and going like, holy shit, what the fuck happened? What happened? And that's the beauty of life, and in LA it happens all the time. I'll be at the grocery store. I watch Kiefer Sutherland put his food in somebody else's cart and fuck up and then have to pull it all out and apologize. And it's like, that's fucking Kiefer Sutherland. Imagine him putting the food in the wrong cart and having to be like, oh shit, I'm sorry. So it's just weird. It's weird.
It's funny because
I
we
love
talk about
it.
Twilight a lot on the show, and I guess I could tell like my one funny ass extras moment. I think I told Robin before. I almost killed Kristen Stewart accidentally on an ice skating rink because I was an extra in that recent movie on Hulu. And one of the requirements on applying to be an extra was, do you know how to ice skate? And I wasn't going to say no, so I said yes. And I was like, I can learn in 2 days. So I went to the ice skating rink.
Dumb shit.
Thinking it was just like rollerblading, and it wasn't, because I learned how to go faster, but I never learned how to brake.
Yeah.
Because my braking was just crashing and trying to play it off like meant to do that.
Yeah.
And she was going the other direction during one thing. The cameras weren't on, thank God.
Wow.
I go like right by. I'm like,
wow. Was she cool?
she She was cool about it. Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
one of the coolest people ever. I
Awesome.
didn't
She
talk to
doesn't
her because
have
I was a
many
little.
expressions, so I mean,
Yeah.
she probably looked okay.
That's so mean.
Oh no!
Yeah, you're usually not allowed to talk to them unless they talk to you first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't ice skate. I would have. But you do. Sometimes you stretch the truth to try to get in a position to do something. Not for the money, because the money's not great.
I'm
but
amazed he didn't
it
pull
helps.
something stretching that truth.
Yeah. The minute you put them on and fell down, they probably would have been like, well.
In all fairness, it was a 2-day shoot, and I got way better overnight because I watched every YouTube video I could about ice skating.
Well,
So the next day,
almost
it was like
killing
night
a
and
lead
day.
actress is a fucking
Yeah.
motivator if ever I've heard one.
Yeah. It would have hit the news though. You could have been on TMZ and pitched the show and say, hey guys, I got a show and I have a Twilight thing I can share.
Go for it.
People always think I make everything up. It's just a weird thing. I don't remember the guy's name. What's the other guy in Twilight? Not Batman, the other one.
Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner. So I was doing background. I got hired for Scream Queens to play a hunchback mental patient for the show Scream Queens with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
And I was at the food crafting. I was getting some food, and I was standing there, and I looked up, and there was Taylor Lautner right next to me, and he was very cool. And then on the other side comes walking up Emma Roberts, and that was during the time where there were a lot of stories about her being aggressive with people. And she got up and she went to grab her food, and right away I heard her say to Taylor, I'm in such a bad mood today. And I went, oh, fuck. I put my food down, and I was like, I'm out. And I moved away, left my food there and everything. But she ended up being okay. The coolest one in that set was Jamie Lee Curtis. She went to every background, introduced herself, and shook their hand.
That's so cool.
Everyone, which is ridiculously amazing.
That's awesome.
See, I love when stars are like that because, like, I wrote for a couple of horror sites. I wrote for Dread Central for a couple months, and then I'm writing for Crypties, obviously, right now.
Yeah.
But you find out that the people who have the most fame are the nicest people ever. But then the people who get like a little bit of fame at like an indie festival that no one's ever heard of, they're fucking assholes.
Yeah, terrible. The ones that were in a movie for like 6 seconds and their ego is crazy. And
like one kid, he was in a very famous movie for a short period. I will say the first half of the movie that wasn't in the original version.
Okay.
He wanted to charge me like $200 for a 5-minute Skype interview, and he didn't fucking show up.
Wow.
I was like, oh, fuck.
That's terrible. And when is
There's
the
someone I never even heard of, so all right, bro.
I think I know the one, but I'm not going to say it on
No, I'm not going to say the name. That'd be kind of a dick move.
Yeah. But Dick does start with the letter D, right?
I think so. I can't remember.
A, B, C,
No,
E. Damn it! No.
you learn that you know the people that just make it are generally nice people. They're just, it's the people that feel they're owed, like they didn't get the career they wanted, and they're old and they're pissed off, and you know. That's why I should be an asshole. Actually, my career hasn't gone where I wanted to. Maybe I should be an asshole, but well, I kind of am an asshole. I think you have to be a little
that
bit
aggressive
of an asshole.
breathing comes from behind people.
Yeah, that's well. I mean, I'm also aggressively breathing because I'm out of breath. You know, I'm walking and I'm walking fast because of my medical things. I never understood. Like, I would watch movies and I'd buy everything that happened in a movie or a TV show until someone said, well, I'm going out for a walk. And I'd be like, why? Why do people walk? Because every step I've taken, my first surgery was when I was 15. I got hurt playing football and didn't tell anybody. It was the first game of the season. I played the whole year on it.
Oh.
And so since then, it's just been, my back's been fucked. I have a lot of nerve damage and every step hurts. So I never understood that. And after my last spinal surgery, I actually had about 6 months to a year where I felt okay. And I understood, holy shit, walking can be fun when you're not hurting with every step. And then I started slowly getting it. But now I'm back to being in pain and everything. So I make Sarah get me everything. She'll get me a drink. And I'm surprised she hasn't actually jumped in here yet to tell me, you know, hey, are you still talking? They're probably over you. But
It's actually
That's
one of
the
the
thing.
most fun episodes we've done.
I was saying this has been a really good one.
Really good conversation.
There hasn't been like any dead silence, and I'm happy about that. It's less editing.
Here's the thing. I used to do a lot of radio and stuff, and if there's even a pause of silence, my OCD kicks in and I just start talking. And I'm glad you feel a conversation, because that's all I ever want. Like that to me is fun. Let's just have a conversation versus an interview type thing. And I think, that's probably my favorite Leatherface is from part 2. Bill Johnson really played Leatherface in that movie so well. And, he was just brilliant in that performance. Now we bookended Chainsaw 2.
Yes, we did. Well, shit, what's funny is I've never seen any of the sequels after that. I saw the remakes, but I never saw the one with McConaughey or the other one, I believe.
Part 3?
Yeah.
Part 3,
Oh,
go ahead. No. You go first this time.
He's like, I talked about no.
Part 3 was like after the first 2 were so good.
Yeah.
3 was, at least maybe it's because the placement, but it just feels aggressively average.
Yeah. It was edited to hell. There's a lot missing from the movie. I think it's
yeah.
like an hour and 20 minutes, but it has one of the greatest teaser trailers of all time. That lady in the lake with the chainsaw coming out of the water is brilliant. The performances are good. And the home they used for the house in that movie was also the same home Rob Zombie used for Devil's Rejects. That's the Firefly family house.
Nice.
Which is cool. Part 4 is not good, but it's fun in a weird way. Like Matthew McConaughey is all in. He's all in on that movie.
Goes full McConaughey.
He goes full McConaughey.
All right.
I guess 3, my problem was it was almost like a remake. They tried remaking it almost as a sequel, and it got darker. But I like the Chainsaw movies. They're fun. I didn't like the 3D one, though I did like Leatherface was good in it, and I like the opening showing the original Chainsaw in 3D. That shit was fun to see. But I'm generally a weirdo with the original Chainsaw. I have the 4K and I watched it once, but it was too clean. Like I like it being a little grungy and a little dirty, and I don't want to see the details. I want to. I want it to be dark.
Real life when it's like that gritty. Like I think of like the Van Halen music video for Panama, how like how the heat just rises off of the street. It's like that's what you'd see in real life.
Yeah.
Nowadays they like edit it out so it's more clear.
Oh, they
clean
everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And I like modern horror. I like a lot of it to be really clean and colorful, and that's fine. But Chainsaw to me, it would be similar to like the original Hills Have Eyes, although I prefer the remake of Hills Have Eyes to the original. When I watched the original, I want it to be kind of VHS quality. I want it to feel gritty. I want it to feel that way, and not be hugely colorful and color corrected and clean.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
I like my 70s horror like I like my women. I like them a little dirty, not too cleaned up,
All right, so final thoughts. Joe, where can people find you? What's going on next? Obviously, you have the sequel to Blind coming out. When can people expect that?
I don't want anybody to find me, not after this interview. I don't have Twitter. I do Facebook. I prefer Instagram just because it's pictures and no bullshit. I used to love social media because it was about connecting and sharing, mutual interests. Now it's just about attacking and pointing things out and bullshit. But I do still have a Facebook, Joe Knetter. Might be Joey Knetter. I don't know. And then Instagram's the same. And then you just, Google my name or Google anything that's going on. Like I said, we just dropped the news about Pretty Boy, and thank you to Cryptease for doing the story for that. We're very excited about that movie. We have, it's just of all the movies I've worked on, it's my favorite. The whole experience was fun. It wasn't like shooting a movie. It was like hanging out with friends for 11 days. So definitely watch Pretty Boy when it comes out. Blind is on Amazon Prime right now. It's free. And a few other things up my sleeve coming, a few more things. So yeah, just just Google me. But you'll spell my last name wrong and probably won't see me. And if you want to see the tattoo, if you add the word ass, it'll probably come up somewhere. It is
Joe the Ass Knetter.
Yeah, the ass man. Yep. My banner at conventions used to say that: writer, actor, stunt ass.
Stunt ass.
Yeah. People would it was an insane time, but yeah, I mean, look for Blind Pretty Boy. You know, we want people to support Pretty Boy as much as possible because we want to get to that third one, which, you know, would be wonderful to have. You know, when we did Blind, we didn't know if we'd get another one because it is such a weird, unique thing. You've seen it? Any of you two ladies seen it?
I have not yet, but
okay,
it's
that's
on
okay.
my list.
That's okay. What we did with it is we took it's kind of a home invasion more than anything. I call it a home visitation. Every time you'd think you knew where it was going, we try to do the opposite. You know, in a movie like this, it's a blind girl and a stalker. You're expecting, and this isn't a huge spoiler, but you'd expect at the end you're going to have that big fight and chase through the house. Instead, we did something different, which some people have loved and some people have hated. But I would say, you know, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of Pretty Boy, and I think this is a perfect example of dealing with the mind of Knetter, and that you asked me where you can find me, and now 42 minutes later, I've you know.
It's all good. We're doing the Joe Rogan thing right now. It's gonna be a 4-hour episode.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Have you guys tried DMT?
Have I? No, but I want to. You're talking about the little people with the machines, right? That you see when you take the little engineers you see when you take DMT. But I have not. I've taken pretty much everything else. And part of me is excited that California is trying to make mushrooms medicinally legal.
Shit.
Because it's very good. It's been proven in studies that a microdose can reset depression for up to 6 months. But then again, the thought of this state full of people on mushrooms is
the 405 would be even worse.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's what they said to Colorado when they legalized weed, and look at them now.
But we have legal weed. Weed has gone great. I love being able to just order it online and they bring it. I have a shop. And
the $100 never bought me so much weed.
Oh, it's amazing. And not even that, but it's great weed. Like I used to growing up, you got brick weed. It was 20 an eighth, 40 a quarter, and you
that what you had.
The little stems and seeds had to be pulled out, and now it's amazing. I do a lot of edibles, is what I like to do.
Oh, I can't fuck around with edibles.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You don't know when it's going to kick in.
Well, it depends on what kind, I'm sure, and how much is in them.
First time I made cookies in my oven, I didn't know any better. I had one, and 20 minutes later, I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. I better have another. And then I was on cookie 4.
I've never even
how many of
touched
these
the
have you
shit,
had?
I'm like,
yeah, no, the edibles is the one thing that, like, if I get something new, I'll start with like 30 or 40 milligrams and then see if I have to work up past that. But I'll tell you a quick edible story. So the first time Sarah did an edible, we were going to see a concert. We were going to see All It Remains. We knew the bass player.
Nice.
And they hooked us up with all access. And it was great. But she said, I want to take edibles. I've never done it. I said, you shouldn't do it in public the first time. You shouldn't. You should do it at home. And she said, really? And I said, okay, let's do it. So back then in Minnesota, like, we didn't make our own. We had somebody that made them for us. So we got this huge brownie, and we went, okay, let's just split it down the middle. We should be good. And we thought it was like chunks of like weird tasting peanut butter, but it turns out they're chunks of THC butter that were cooked, frozen, and then pushed in at the end. So we got to the concert venue, and it kicked in. We had to go sit down somewhere, and it was a weird venue where there was like a bar upstairs, but you couldn't see the band. You could watch them on these little TVs. Otherwise, everybody's on the floor. We got up there and immediately had to sit down, and neither of us talked to each other for about an hour. And I sat there and I was looking at her like, she seems normal. How is she normal? I'm fucking freaking out. And it turns out she was freaking out the whole time too. But we were 5 steps from the bar, and I was like, oh my God, I'm parched. I'm choking here. I'm not breathing, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to freak her out. And then I started sweating, and I was like, oh my God, I think I just shit my pants. I feel wetness, and I need to somehow check, but I don't think I can get up. I don't know what to do. I want to just lay on the floor. And I finally leaned to her and I said, listen, I'm going to stand up and just turn around. Let me know if I shit my pants or not. And I stood up and turned. Of course it wasn't. It was sweat. I didn't shit my pants. But we missed all of the 3 openers. And I finally said, listen, we have to go down there. They got us all access. We have to at least go down and let them see that we're there. So I took her down, and we were actually standing side stage right in front of the mixing board. And I had my arm around her, and we were watching. And every so often she'd tilt back, and I'd have to squeeze her hard. And she's like, why are you squeezing me so hard? I said, because you're going to fall into the mixing board, and that's going to be a problem, because there was nothing blocking it. And I went, oh my God, you're going to ruin it. But we got through it. We got back to the hotel, and we survived. And then we said, okay, next time. A week later, we actually had another one. We had a Friday. Our friend Shane and Sean do Friday 13th marathon every Friday 13th. And we watch all the movies. We watched all the movies straight through. It's like 21 hours. It's great.
Damn.
He had never had an edible. So we got the same brownie and took it over there for him too. That we said, okay, we're splitting it 3 ways. We're going to be okay this time. And about halfway through the day, it kicked in for him, because we waited a while, because we knew if we took it right away, we'd never make 21 hours. And all of a sudden he got up and he started pacing around. He's like, I'm freaking out. And I'm like, just calm down. And meanwhile, I'm freaking out. Sarah's freaking out. And he sat down, and he's just sitting there, and he had an old tube TV, and he's watching it. And all of a sudden the tube just, and the TV went out. It just stopped. It went dead. And we're sitting there, and he started freaking out. He's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I said, no, it's okay. It's just TV just went. I was like, no, you don't understand. I think I did that with my brain. And I said, oh, it's fine, man. So then
you guys on part 7 by then?
Yeah, I think well, we'd sometimes do them in order. Other times we would do, we have the Friday the 13th, like cards, like the deck of cards. And we'd take 1 through whatever out, and we'd shuffle them, and that's the order we'd watch them. So then it ended, and I had to lay there on the couch. He sat in his chair, and I had to talk him down for the next hour. And I'd be like, you're okay. And he'd be like, okay, I feel better. And inside, I know if you've ever taken too much edibles, it's waves. You'll be up, and then you feel, okay, I'm getting better now. But it's just going to go right back up. So it was an hour or 2 of that. It was interesting. So
what made him think that he did that with his mind? That's what I'm like dying over.
Yeah,
Because he was
sure.
fucked up.
He was sure. He was
he trying to break it, and then he's like, oh shit, it did it.
No, he was panicked, and he wanted it to be over. He wanted to lay down, but the whole thing is you can't sleep. We have to stay awake for the whole marathon. And I think he just wanted to go lay down in bed, but he couldn't. Like, there was no way. He was hosting it. It was at his house. So I'm sure he was sitting there thinking, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. And then it was impeccable timing. Impeccable timing. But okay, so now we're on show number 3. What's the topic for show number 3? All right. I will stop now.
For 2 hours though.
2 hours.
This has been, I think, the funnest episode we've done.
Awesome.
Well, all right, we're going to wrap it up here, though.
Yeah. Well, did I ever tell you about the time I worked at Arby's? We would wrap the sandwiches.
I literally worked there for so long, too. So
I was a general manager of Arby's for years in Minnesota. Yep.
I worked up to shift, and I'm like, I'm out.
I started when the shift were called RAMs, Relief Associate Manager. That was how long ago it was.
Oh my goodness.
We were RAMs. It was great.
Stallions.
Yeah.
All right, this has been Crypt's Family Fun Night. I'm Chase Will.
I'm Lucas Liner.
Robin.
I'm Joe. Very nice to meet everybody watching it and to talk with you 3. It's been wonderful.
Dude, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next week, episode 550 or so.
Yeah, 550. Yeah, it'll be still me though, right?
Right.
Bye, everybody.